like, oh, got the notification.
Yep.
Yeah. So the funny way I got into Rocky, I was dating this girl at the time,
Mhm.
um, and one night we're like, hey, let's go to Rocky Horror. Like, it wasn't my very first experience. I had gone to a very early version of the Tampa Theater Rocky
Really?
show, the yearly show at Tampa Theater,
Oh, okay.
when it was directed by folks named Brian and Christie, um, and that was probably 17 first time I went for Halloween for the Halloween show. So it was just massive, insane, crazy. But the first time like that led me to the past to become part of Rocky was she was
Yeah.
like, hey, let's go to Rocky. There's a show playing in downtown St. Pete or in St. Pete Beach.
Mhm.
So we drive over there, hang out, and we're having a good time. And then towards the end of the show, um, we saw somebody there that we had seen at Renaissance festivals and had talked to shortly there.
Oh, okay.
Ed.
Oh, Ed. All right.
So,
Nice.
her and I are sitting there and we're kind of like chit chatting back and forth and everything. He's like, cool. So you guys had fun tonight? And we're like, yeah, yeah. No, it was a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and cool environment. We're really digging this. He's like, cool. Come over to my house on Wednesday, and next weekend you're going to be our understudy, Brad and Janet.
Oh.
Squeeze me baking powder. uh, yeah, he's just like, yeah, we're down some folks. You guys are cool. Just help me out this one weekend, right?
Oh, okay.
Of course, that turned into probably close to a decade of
Wow,
Rocky Horror.
that's amazing.
And
Was
Ed and I's very long-standing friendship,
that's
close friendship.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, we were ended up both being in each other's weddings and everything else. So
Oh, I love that. Was I'm assuming he put you up for Brad. Is
yeah, I was definitely a Brad type back then. But yeah, we went over to his place that Wednesday, and Janny uh,
yes.
was there, and she helped. She kind of helped us learn dinner scene
Mhm.
as you usually do as your first part, right? Like
Yeah.
it's an understudy, you do dinner scene, and yeah, we learned it well enough after a couple hours and a couple drinks, and
Nice.
then yeah, we showed up on Saturday to somebody lent us some clothing because we weren't committed yet to doing it, so lent clothes and did our first couple performances, and it was a lot of fun, and it's like, okay, well, I don't have anything better to do on a Saturday night most nights, so I'm going to do this for the next 10 years.
Um, that's awesome. It's very similar to like how I kind of got started.
Yeah.
At the picture show, I ended up just going one weekend.
Okay.
And at that point, like Calvin, Patrick, Tex, Sandberg, all those guys
Yeah,
were,
that whole group.
yeah, that newer generation was
Yeah.
already on the cast, and it just well, the show finished, and they're like, "Okay, you seem pretty chill. Do you want to do like anything on the stage?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I don't want that." They're like, "Well, what about
Right.
props?" I was like, "I can do props. I can do props all day. That
Right.
is where I want to be." And I've stayed consistently props. Every time I've either been on a cast or I've helped the cast, I try to do props unless they like volunteer me for Rocky, which has been luckily very, very rare.
I get it. Yeah, every now and again they need a pinch hitter. I get it.
Yes.
Yeah. As a long-standing director, assistant director, I get that. It's how it went. It's just like, yeah, sometimes I had to pull props crew into it. Or kind of during my peak in Rocky, our props crew was very active and very involved. And, they would orchestrate these insane like takeover scenes at the end and stuff like that. Like one time we even did like and they helped carry the thing and everything. They did a whole like the crucifixion of Jesus takeover.
What?
Like they had Frank carrying the cross and uh that the entire props crew with the Riff and Magenta that night were wearing Roman armor and like whipping
Was
Jesus on the
it?
end. I was Brad that night and I'm just standing there on the side, holding Dr. Scott and just we're going to hell.
What the
We're
hell's
going to hell for this one. But it was just we were just that was what the cast was. We were all about like humor and offensiveness. Before everything got very PC and very we would have gotten canceled like a motherfucker in this day and age. Like we boom, one weekend, we're just done. I mean, we had mud fights, like mud wrestling, pool scenes, like getting mud all over the screen. We had to spend like $1,500 out of the cast funds one time to get the screen professionally cleaned because we got mud fucking everywhere.
God.
It was a lot of debauchery, a lot of just like, fuck it, let's do it.
What's the worst that could happen, right?
The props crew was always very involved in all that. We called them at the time, their nickname was the Kilt Crew because all of them wore kilts and KMFDM t-shirts.
I've heard stories of the Kilt Crew. I never got a chance to be a part of like that specific type of
Yeah, 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 like Patrick and Andrella. Well, you probably met Andrella through,
um yes, I
like Little Pony.
Andrella. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, she was a long-standing Kilt Crew member and uh, a Frankenfurter eventually. But yeah, she kind of started like you though. But I don't want to be on stage and props and everything. And eventually, because of us needing that pinch hitter, like I was telling you about, that's how it went down.
Nice. So you started off as like your understudy Brad.
Mhm.
And then did you like slowly like seeing other roles that appealed to you, or was it just kind of one of those things where
Just
you
kind of
started as
did.
Brad?
I did Brad, and um, and because I learned it so well, it's just like I pitched hit in other roles, and of course we had like draw a character out of a hat nights, which were always a glorious train wreck.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, that was the only role I like consistently did. Like I've done Frank a handful of times. I've done, Dr. Scott, and I've done actually Magenta a couple times.
You know Magenta? Get out of here. What?
Yeah, well, it was that thing. It's like we didn't have a Magenta that night, and like I'm like, well, I know it well enough. I can pull it off. I think I did Rick Ruff only once, but like, yeah, like Brad and Frank were the only two I kind of did with any kind of consistency.
I would have loved to have seen you as Brad and or as Frank. Actually, I would have loved to see that Magenta performance too.
I don't know if you're around just yet, or maybe you were, or just not there. Because I did do a couple like alumni nights at
Yeah.
CLP,
Hmm.
and Fontaine was my Janet on a couple of those nights.
Oh, maybe I was there. We
Yeah, I
did.
was very rusty by that point because I got retired for a couple years, but few
uh,
years.
did you do it with Scott Mullins?
Yes, I did. Fred Scott was my long time. He was the Frankenfurter probably when I first went to Rocky at 17, and he was Frankenfurter the night I went to IP in St.
Uh,
Pete Beach, and he was still the Frankenfurter when I freaking retired. So, like, the Gray Wizard went on an infamy for probably a little too long. Like,
oh,
love Scott to death, but it's one of those things like some people, they just, that's what they do, and that's their
yeah.
thing. They just do it forever. And, at times there is some concern from people because you have these older people running around with like 18 17 18 19 year olds,
Yeah.
and you got to be careful about that kind of thing.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah, but no, Scott was always really good. He was a lot of fun. He was, before his knees went bad and everything else, he was a great Frank at
I,
one point in time. He was probably
I
one of the.
oh man, I did get to be blessed by his performance. I could actually watch it on the alumni night, if I'm not mistaken. It was like he knew all the mannerisms
Oh
so
yeah,
effortlessly.
yeah, yeah, and that's the kind of thing though. He'd been doing it for 25 years.
Mhm.
Probably by that point, I think he did it a grand total of like 30 years almost.
Oh
And yeah, when it's that point, like half of that's just muscle memory.
my God.
Like it was even with me, like when I did one of the alumni nights, because like I hadn't done performed as Brad in, I don't know, probably 3 4 years at that point, maybe even five.
Huh.
And so I was like, I put on the video, and I'm like, okay, let's see what I remember. And I was like, wow, a lot more than I thought I did because it's just like muscle memory at that point.
Solid.
It was kind of cool, but yeah, probably by the point you saw him, he was still good. He still got all the little mountains, but when he still physically could do everything
Mhm.
and he still really cared, like was passionate about it, you know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah,
it's just that it was like, wow, damn, you're good. And
yeah.
but over the years, like especially when he was doing it weekly, he burnt himself out a lot,
Yeah.
as we all do. That's
Mhm.
why we kind of take breaks, or some people like me retire. Just
Yeah.
you burn out.
Fair. What made you want to step into like the director role? Was it just like, hey, I've been doing this show for a good little minute. Like I think I know like, oh, I think I know like how I can kind of lead us
Well,
to like,
yeah, I mean some of it, yeah, like of course I started as an assistant director with under Ed,
oh, okay. All right.
because it was at the time the previous assistant director Jamie Niles, which I'm
I,
sure you met.
I have yes.
He stepped down slash
Mhm.
was semi-retiring just because his work life and his personal life couldn't guarantee him Saturday nights anymore. So he's like, I'll still be here every now and again. I'm kind of burnt out, but also I got a job now, kind of thing. That means that has me working Saturday nights, so I can't always be here. So I got to step down.
Okay.
And then they had audit, kind of like a vote of people, and I had been very active behind the scenes, helping even props crew get ready, helping other cast members out, training other cast members. I'd already been doing a lot of this stuff,
Nice.
and so my name came up with a couple others on the cast at the time, and we kind of just did a blinded vote, like everybody put your heads down, put your hand up for this person, kind of thing, like in middle school,
Mhm.
right? So it's not a popularity contest, which it was. I just happened to be popular at the time. So yeah, so I ended up I was even living in Orlando at the time.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
like me and my girlfriend that we were originally going to moved
Mhm.
with my buddy up to Orlando to keep the band I was in and at the time alive because he wanted to move up there. I kind of wanted to get out of Tampa for a little while,
That's fair.
but I was still coming back every Saturday to be St. Pete Beach from like downtown Orlando, not just like Kissimmee,
Oh,
Lakeland. No, I was
so you're in the
in
heart.
Orlando.
Oh.
Uh, I had to take, the off I-4 and go a little bit to get.
Uh,
Get through.
that sucks.
So it was a long drive every weekend, but I didn't care. I wanted to be there. I wanted to have my fun. It was my
Yeah.
release. It was my okay. Let's get rid of all the bad vibes from work, the work week, and all the other BS that was going on.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna come hang out at Rocky. And so yeah, I got voted in, and yeah, and then I stayed director, assistant director, till I retired because Ed never retired. While I was still active, actually, he got mad at me the night I told him like, "Hey, I'm out. I'm done." Like, motherfucker, I was gonna retire tonight. Fuck you. No, I got to stay around. And sure enough, like he stuck around long enough that like other people kind of orchestrated his exit. I'll say that.
Mm,
He
okay.
didn't go willingly, and other people were very ambitious
Mm,
and were saying the wrong things to the theater,
that's
and lies, straight up
mm,
lies to the theater. Of course, that person eventually got found out and they got booted, but it was
good.
after he had
The split.
stopped being what it was.
Oh, that's
Uh,
unfortunate.
yeah, but and at the end of the day, yeah, I did assistant director from 2002 to 2008 or nine at Interchangeable Parts, and then
Nice.
um, I think 15 and 6 and 2015, 2016, and I think parts of 2017, I was asked to be the head director for Tampa Theater.
Nice.
And those 3 years I did head director, but that third year I kind of stepped back and was like, look, I'm kind of here in name only just to keep this going because, I'm not part of any of the drama. So no one was like choosing sides because at that time,
Yeah.
there's a lot of drama.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I told Amber, my assistant director at the time, Amber Licks, that like, look, this is kind of like, this is your show this year. I'm just kind of here in name only.
Mm,
So you do your thing, you rock it, and I'll just be here as kind of like your concierge. I'm going to be your advisor.
Mhm.
But she didn't need me. She didn't. She was ready to go.
Amber is pretty awesome like that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she's a one in a million person, absolutely. But I've met a lot of people that I can say about that through Rocky.
That's
Like every the not every single person, but I would say
Mhm.
80% of the people I met through Rocky stand out in my mind. Like I've gone through, I can't tell you how many coworkers, ex band, music bandmates, people I went to high school with, people I went to college with, all that kind of stuff. Most of them don't stand out at all. But like the minute you were Dexter, I didn't have to go, who's Dexter again? No, I know who Dexter was. No, I knew, I remember names, faces, little anecdotes. I think I still have a video of you somewhere being Rafiki.
Yes, yes. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
because I think the last time I saw you, you still had dreads.
Yes, yes, I
So,
did.
um, yeah, I, I meet so many great individual people through Rocky over the years. Some of them not so great because it attracts a very wide, diverse people, and some people have not so good intentions.
Agreed.
But on the flip side, I've met a lot of very cool, very memorable, very very unique people, and
Mhm.
that's why one of the main things I loved about Rocky for so many years is because of that vibe, and that's why I kind of started hanging out around Rocky again. It's like I don't miss performing every fucking Saturday. I just want to kind of come and go as I please. If I want to leave by dinner scene, that's cool.
Good. That's great. I love that
That's
for you.
where I, met his wife that way, met a couple other girlfriends that way,
Mhm.
and certainly during my main area of Rocky, it was and just how our show was at that
Mhm.
time was very debaucherous. So like the after parties and everything else have kind of faded into legend in certain ways, but but that was the time, and it was a lot of fun for a lot of years, and some good things happen, some bad things happen, but it's at the same end of the day, I think everybody that comes through Rocky, it shapes you, right? I
Yes.
think everybody is changed. They don't leave Rocky who they were. They either start finding themselves, they find themselves emotionally or sexually or physically. They come out. A lot of people I see come in were shy, nervous, or kind of just like a homebody, or just like people with ADHD, ASD, things like that would come through, and
Mhm.
they immediately found acceptance and a home there. And then I watched all these kids that would come through, myself included. I come through Rocky, for a year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever the hell, however long, but you see them grow, and it was really cool, and like find themselves as like, okay, this is who I am,
Yeah.
or this is I found this out about myself, or I've seen some people like come in and like I found out I'm gay, or I come through or like, hey, I never knew this about myself, and now I do,
Mhm.
in a ways, and it was just so cool to see people grow like that in front of your eyes as
Yeah.
kinky
No,
adults.
it's amazing. No, I think that's fantastic. I think that is one of the few things that that community can say that it always has. It's always been a like a beacon of a sanctuary for people who don't generally feel as if they fit in to
Right,
find
exactly.
some type of acceptance. And that creates, in my opinion, some of the best like communities that you could ask for.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was the island of misfit toys for sure. Um, so yeah, usually outcasts or, not social butterflies or, the popular kids in high school, right?
Yeah.
It was usually, the goth kids and the nerd, every type, the
Mhm.
theater kids, in
Yes.
the case of like, I don't know if you were, but I know like Patrick and
Uh,
uh 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 who did you mention earlier?
Sam Burke, like
Burke,
Tex,
yeah, and
yeah,
Tex and
like Calvin, or I think
Calvin for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
all those Blake students.
yes.
Um, yeah, they were. I know they were huge in fusion, and but yeah, but that was the type it always attracted. Was the left of center people,
100%.
and I love that. I love that, and it didn't matter if gay, straight, whatever ethnicity you were. However you acted, you could be like the biggest D&D nerd or the biggest movie buff, or just like We had one guy that his whole personality was his penis size.
What?
Yeah, it was just that was just the running joke with him, and it was just like, yeah, I mean, he was a tripod. Um,
Good for him. I hope
yeah, but
he.
it was the kind of thing that was his whole personality. Yeah,
It's just
uh,
he tried
I,
to like shoot it into like random parts of the conversation, even if it was
well,
unnecessary.
it was hard. It was hard not to. He was a Rocky, you
Sure.
know, when he's running, when he's like 5'7", and the bulge in his gold boxers is bigger than he is. Now it's kind of hard not to comment on.
Just bring it up.
Just, it was so much fun. I mean, I'm still friends with him to this day. He's actually a pretty cool guy, but it was just especially at that time, that was his
Just
whole personality. He's just like, you
love
know,
it. Okay, that's amazing. I think that's
yeah.
beautiful personality.
He
Oh, man.
developed the personality later.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad. Hey,
He's a rocker.
everybody hits it at some point. It's amazing. I'm happy for him. Ah, that's
He
amazing.
was no longer just Dirk Diggler.
This is just. Oh goodness. I had like a bunch of questions, but this conversation's been going like so
Go
like
for it.
smooth that like I haven't really had to like really not because you pretty much like hit a lot of the stuff.
Oh well, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. This is perfect. It's like this. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is like my first time like just doing this like by myself. So it's like it's a
Oh,
new experience for me too. So I'm trying to get like my feet wet. And thank you again for like doing this with me. I
oh
truly
no,
appreciate it.
this is fine. This is fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you're having fun too. I did want to ask. There was something that I like legitimately was curious about. So like you've been you come from a more long-standing generation of a Rocky. You've been more longer in the Rocky community than I would say a fair amount of people that I know, minus
Sure.
like Ricky Garcia, probably, and like Walter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or like at the time, we talked about him earlier. Jesus, I'm drawing a brain fart here. I'm getting old. Scott Mullins,
Yeah, Scott Mullins. Yeah, like that.
he ran forever. So I think Ricky's still doing it to this day.
Ricky is, yeah, he's still on the cast. I'm on Hell on Heels, and he's still just training the Transylvanians, teaching them
Good.
how to time warp properly. He's a
Yeah,
great guy. He's doing amazing, honestly.
good.
So it warms my heart to see him every time.
But that's the thing, right? Some people just that's what they do, and they're going to do
So
it forever.
yeah, I don't know if that's gonna be me entirely. I'm like very much on the fence about it, but as of right now, I'm still enjoying myself, and I
Look,
always will.
and that might be advice I give to anybody doing pretty much anything, but especially with Rocky or like Ren Fairs or stuff like that. It's like,
Mhm.
dude, as long as you're still having fun and you're having more fun than drama or bullshit or days where like, I'm fucking tired of doing this. Keep doing it.
Okay,
And then when you'll know when you're done.
that's fair. No, I appreciate it. I hit that. I kind of hit that wall like a few more than a few years ago. Damn, like almost a decade ago. When after like I finished up high school, and I
Sure.
was kind of just ready for a change. I kind of was
Yeah.
like, all right, I can't stay in Tampa and keep doing this. Guess I gotta go join the military or get somebody to get out of here, and then just get
Right.
out here and take a break from it for a while. And I did. I took a nice solid like 6 years off, and
Yeah.
just kind of enjoyed myself. It
Good.
was wonderful. Yeah.
Glad
I
to
did
hear
my
it.
toes back in when I got into Virginia. I found a cast up there, and they're like, what would you like to play? And I was like, I just want to be your props guy. And they were like taken aback. They're like, what? I'm like, what do you like? I want to do props. They're like, we've never had a props guy. We always
I mean, the Comcast don't realize that. Like, I think part of that was just because of between Tampa Theater and IP. Uh, like we set a pretty high standard,
yeah.
and that carried over into CLP and Hell on Heels and everybody else that's ever put on a show in
Mhm.
the Tampa or even down to Sarasota.
Mhm.
They realized they had to have these big props. They, do it right, do it like a big stage production, even though you're in a tiny ass theater with no fucking room anywhere. Uh, a lot of other casts didn't do that. Um,
Yeah.
so as you probably saw in Virginia, I'm sure they had props, but they didn't have props people.
They were not used to like my workflow. They're like they gave me like the name Spider-Man because I just would just run across so fast to like make sure that everything was like where it needed to be at the right placement at the right time. And they're like, I don't understand. I'm like, this is how I learned. I don't know any other way to do
Right.
it.
Yeah, exactly. I know it was a little different at what is it? Uh, at the where CLP was.
Temp Picture Show.
Yeah, Temperature. I don't know if you ever went and saw a show at the St. Pete Beach Theater when it's still operating on the old IP or whatever they became afterwards.
Okay.
But that theater was it was a single theater aisle seating, uh, theater seating. But at the front they had a stage, and thankfully the two side doors led right outside, so our props people could appear on one side of the stage, set the props up for one side, disappear behind the theater, come back out that other door, and then
Yes.
just reappear on the other side. They didn't have to run across the stage like you do at a lot of theaters. And yeah, that was always nice. But yeah, you do have to get ninja like when you're props for sure.
Yes, yeah, it was fun. It was exhilarating. We had to do it at a we because of like I guess the zoning laws, it was like right after COVID, and like the cast had like a huge falling out of the theater that they originally used to host them, so we ended up just doing it at a brewery, which was actually a lot more fun in a lot of ways.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, I think some of the funnest times I had was in Rocky was outside of a theater was when we did a brewery or two, or when we did like a con, because I got some of my best stories out of being at a con, or outside of the theater. Usually Tampa theater usually had its own stories. Uh, the theater, the normal place, of course, you get a ton of stories from. Like I can't tell me how many fights we've almost gotten in, or had to like you knew what you were walking into, and if you didn't, that's your fault. Don't get mad at us for it.
There's a whole announcement before the movie even
Yeah,
starts.
yeah, it's yeah. Oh man, did we make that fucking elaborate over time? Because I love it. Because like I'll go to Rocky and especially in the Tampa area, and I'll see the evolution of it, and it's like I'm glad people are still doing it this way, and just like kind of doing their own, taking it to what it was, and doing their own thing with it. So
No, that's perfect. That's actually one of my questions I was gonna ask. Like, how is that like seeing like since you're like a trendsetter for what it like it evolved into with like the cast that we have like now, which are primarily I think like Hell on Hills and Beyond Any Measure. Like, yeah, like
yeah,
how's like
it
being like
it's cool seeing that evolution, and I definitely saw what was my era of interchangeable parts carried over in Cheap Little Punks for many, many, many years, because you had a lot of crossover there. You had the
yes,
old guard of interchangeable parts mixed with the young talent like you, and uh, everybody else that was there in your era as well. And it was just beautiful because you had like the passing. I saw the passing of the torch happening, and I saw the evolution of jokes. I saw the evolution of the call outs. I saw the evolution of how the props were done and
yes,
everything else. And it's like, oh man, why didn't we ever think of doing that way? Or why didn't we ever think of that fucking joke? Or like, oh shit, or somebody brings up a joke and it's somebody young. I'm like, there's no way they heard that before. And we stopped doing that joke like 10 years ago. So that's awesome that somebody else like, okay, well,
so
this is gonna be funny.
fuck yeah, they're keeping it
It
alive.
just comes back around, it kind of comes back alive in a way. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of cool. And I don't think I've actually been to a Rocky show in probably 4 or 5 years.
Mm.
But, every now and again I kind of peek around, or I'll see somebody I know in the Rocky community post a clip of a show or something like that. And I'm just like, okay, it's still getting done. But
It's
yeah, I
like
love seeing the evolution and the carry on, and I think it's nice, and knowing that I was a part of the evolution, and that I was a part of what Tampa or it was in this area. In fact, it got so our cast got so popular, like even New York would come down here to watch us, like the New York
really?
cast, the original, the OG, the longest running cast in history. Like they would come down to watch us, and when we all met for the went to the 25th anniversary
Oh shit.
of Rocky Horror Show in Vegas, like
Nice.
it was this huge event. It was like a week long event. But Scott ended up being one of the main Frankenfurters for the night.
What the fuck?
One of our Trixies was one of the main Trixies.
What the shit?
Yeah, and I think our Janet was one of the main Janets for the night. They had like 5 or 6 Janets, but like Scott got the majority of time, our Janet got the majority of time, and our Trixie was one of 3 Trixies.
That's amazing.
So we had some notoriety, but we started fucking with people because on the way to the main show we stopped by because we were like getting some of us were getting noticed. So we're just
Yeah.
like, "All right, let's rock star this." We stopped by a country western store on the way there, and we all got like cowboy hats, like big old white and black. Some of us 10-gallon hats and some. We just we did it up, and we just
Fucking
told
love
everybody, "Oh no, 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 we're the Texas cast,"
it.
So we're just fucking with people. And I think after at one point, Joe, Ed and I and a couple others, we, we had had a few, just, right? And we're sitting out front of the theater, right when everybody's starting to come out of the theater, and we just start singing like Garth Brooks and shit like that, just flirting with
Yes.
people and like, we're like, giving us dirty looks because they think we're just a couple of fucking rednecks just being assholes, right? Yeah. But that was our whole shtick, though. It's like we're gonna offend you, and it's gonna be fucking hilarious to us or to you. You choose which one.
Somebody's gonna be laughing. It's
Somebody's
up to
gonna be
you.
laughing, and which one it is. And I'm my personality, sense of humor, and I know you've met Ed and know how he is.
Yes.
Sense of humor is definitely that. Like I'm going to offend, and I'm going to find it hilarious if you want to join me for that. Because there was times where we'd stand out front of the theater before Rocky started and just go tell dead baby jokes for 20 minutes straight. Like we had a slew of them and stuff that was just so goddamn offensive. Just so offensive. Like, I mean, it even gotten to like it wasn't just dead baby jokes either. It just like,
Oh,
it was stuff like I think what was the one Ed almost got slugged for? It was
oh shit.
what's the best part of fucking a 3-year-old?
Oh no.
Here in the
Uh,
pelvis snap.
That's awful.
Mhm. Like his buddy Sam was Israeli and he was a Jew. And he was there and his sister came to visit and of course he had been to Rocky a ton of times, but he brought her and she was a virgin, of course. So like, all right, you got to come down. You're a virgin. And she was doing it very slowly. She was the last one down there. And he's like, Jesus, will you hurry up? You people got in the boxcars fast enough. And she threw a beer can at him,
that's good.
mostly full.
Oh no. Did she
I
miss or
missed, I
she?
missed that.
Oh,
And
thank God.
it hit the other guy doing pre-show with him.
Oh, that,
Brandon Moggan. We had to give him some stitches at then.
oh, I got it nuts. I got that.
But that was the thing though, is like,
Mhm.
well, we got a story out of it.
That's true. That's very true. And
Offensive. And I mean, yes, very offensive. And I get how insensitive that is. But at the same time, I feel you got to laugh at that stuff too.
no, I think that's also a very important part of like that community is being able to poke fun at things that are considered a little bit more taboo, a little bit more risque, and finding some sense of humor behind them, kind of just break the tension.
It's like a Deadpool movie.
I should have saw that coming. Oh my god.
Uh,
Oh goodness. Let me see. This is so fantastic. Honestly, that's pretty much like
huh?
yeah, no, really like I
You got
said,
one question and I filled in all the blanks already.
yeah, no, like honestly, like no, and but I love that because like I said in my like post, it's like it's supposed to be like interview light. Like I would like to just sit here, like learn about your experiences, your story with Rocky Horror, like how'd you come into it, and like everything you kind of gained from it. And you've kind of just been doing that naturally. Like
Cool.
almost like it's a gift for you or something.
I don't know about that, but I'm it's just I don't know. It was a very obviously with the length I did it was a very big part of my life, and I had a lot of fun doing it when I did it, and I look back on a good part of it
Yeah.
positively. Some of the friends I've lost along the way, and some of the day to day of it, I don't miss any part of it, but like I miss the camaraderie. I miss it's like anybody like you hear like athletes when they retire.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, I don't miss playing the game. I miss the locker room.
Yeah.
And that's just it. I miss the cast, getting ready for the show. I miss the cast post cast meeting, hanging out after the show, going to breakfast together at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, the
After we've all
banter.
just had this shared experience, sometimes fans would show up and, you
Mhm.
know, all that kind of stuff. And it was always really fun and really cool.
Mhm.
And the cast parties and all that stuff. It was always that part I miss. That part I'll always be the most happy and memorable about. It was rarely do I look back and like, oh, I did a really good show that night.
It's
Not
not the
ever.
part that sticks out to you at all.
No, it's doing Rocky itself, yes, but like it's the pre-show, it's the jokes, it's the when we went off the script, when you're not just doing a straight shadow cast, um, when you're making it your own, and the people.
That's true.
At the end of the day, that's why everybody comes back. The Let's be honest, the movie's not a great movie.
No, 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 I love it.
It's one of those so bad it's good movies, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful.
So that's what drew people to it in the first place. But the reason it's been going on for so long is the people,
That's
right? That
beautiful.
make it their own and make it fun and make it new for every generation. Because when I first started going, it was definitely the older, like Gen X crowd, right? People at the in the '90s that were in their 20s and in the early mid to '90s, and then my generation when I was in my 20s throughout pretty much my entire 20s, in those early 2000s, and then your generation, which was the early 2010s, the
Yeah,
2010s, uh, and still going today, obviously.
yeah.
But it's the people, right, that keep you coming back every weekend. It's not necessarily the show itself. It's hanging out with your
No,
friends and
no,
doing this.
I agree. I often think of back to like those times, and I often remember like our smaller shows were some of the shows that stuck out most in my head, were the like the
Yeah.
big ones. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tampa Theaters kind of its own thing. It was definitely different. When you have 2,500 people screaming at you, it's a whole different ball game. But
yes.
like those nights where we had like, what's the attendance count tonight? 23. All right, fun night.
Yes.
We're gonna interact with every last motherfucker here. And that was my favorite nights because you could sit and talk to everybody while
Right.
the show's going on. You could really get the audience involved on those nights. Where I feel the nights where you're packed house,
Yeah.
it's just you
Just
can't get
can't
away
afford
with
it.
as much, and you
Yeah.
can't like get down with the people as much. It's not as personal.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely good to invest for big shows and small shows. But no, thank you again for everything. Oh, one last thing, two
Yeah.
things actually.
Okay.
Um, so, what is your favorite callback line?
Oh God, it's probably the one that's coming to mind, anyways. Right
Uh-huh.
now, well, probably a lot of it's escaped my memory, but is in the opening song is in the back row, fuck the back row, fuck the front row, fuck every row, starting with mine. You know, it was just I was like, if that went off timed perfect with the entire audience, the back row would just do the back row, the front
No,
row would just do the back row, and usually the people sit in the middle, fuck every row, starting with mine. When it went off perfectly, I knew it was going to be a good night. That was
I've never seen that. I've heard the
That's
line.
how yeah, but that's how it's supposed to go. The front row's supposed to go fuck the back row, and the back row's supposed to go fuck the front row,
Yeah.
and then wherever anybody else is sitting, fuck every row. Sorry, and that's how
That's
that joke's supposed to go. But it it just got mended over the years to everybody yelling it out.
yeah, it just evolved.
Yeah, so
Beautiful. That's
but
awesome.
that was always that's the one that's sticking out to me right now. I don't know if it's my absolute favorite.
Mhm.
Uh, I'd actually probably have to rewatch the movie and try to remember.
So, I am curious about this though. Before we go, like, so I had a weird experience recently because I'm doing it with Beyond Any Measure, and
Yeah,
I'm actually listening to the movie for the first time without screaming AP lines, and I'm hearing
Ah,
so much dialogue that I've never heard.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is like sometimes like I'll be thinking about it and I don't remember what the real line is. I would only go by or like certain actions I would do as a Brad. I would knew the timing of because of the callback, not because of the line or like a sound cue or a piece of the music. It was just the callback line. I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this right now, or I'm supposed to write the heart. Only assholes write on doors.
Yes.
Or what was it? here's the ring to prove that I play poker, you know, stuff like that. Was my cues. But yeah, it's kind of funny to go back and like I don't think I've done it in I don't know how long, but just like actually just sit there at your house watching it, even if it's on the background, and going, oh, oh, I forgot that was the actual line.
Yeah. I was like, oh, they
Yep,
actually say
actually did
something
that.
here.
Yeah. Uh,
That's
not the book, the movie.
but goodness gracious. Did you get a chance to see the actual live cast after that over at the Straz?
No, I
Ah,
didn't. I know Jen Kessler was a part of it,
yes. Yes, yes,
um,
yes.
but no, I didn't get a chance to go over there. It's just I've been so big. I have a kid now.
Yes, congratulations on that, by the way. I'm not sure if I ever got a chance to say
I
that.
appreciate that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and so between job, girlfriend, kid, it's life's been pretty full at the
Yeah.
moment. So, I've been meaning to go out and check out, Hell on Hills again, just kind of say hi to the people that I know that are still there, like Ricky and everybody, and Calvin and everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, but and I meant to go check out the one at the Strask, but I was like at the same time, I was like,
So much
I don't
work.
want to sit there through that. I sat through it for
So
10.
so many years.
So I don't need to see it again. But it would have been cool to see it as the live. I've seen it done like that before
Yeah.
in New York.
I'm
So that
jealous
was
of
pretty
that.
cool. And I don't know if anybody still does it, but I know back in the day there was a group doing it at a nudist colony, doing Rocky
What?
in the yeah, out in Land O'Lakes for a couple years. Like it was a splinter
Yes.
group of interchangeable parts,
Hmm.
but yeah, like Jackie Kligo was part of it, and that whole group, which I think out of everybody I know in Rocky, the only one like I still have any kind of like regular communication with still is Jackie.
Really?
Yeah, like as up in Detroit full time, and him and I kind of had a going of our separate ways. Not anything necessarily bad, negative, but it's just like you're on one path of life, I'm on another. So you do your thing, I'm going to do mine, kind of thing. But everybody else I've kind of fallen out of touch with, or just it's just turned into like, oh, cool, you're doing this on Facebook. Congratulations. Like, like not that we were ever close friends,
Hmm.
but like, it wasn't like, hey, Dex, how you doing, man? What you up to?
That's very true.
It's
No,
like, oh, cool, you're doing that. That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's funny. I feel like that's how it is for me for a lot of the people as well. I think I never really had any bad blood with too many cast members, except for like maybe like a handful of individuals. But I don't can't say that like I speak with any of them on like a regular basis anymore.
Yeah, but
No.
that's how it goes. You're there for a shared experience for a set amount of time, and then everybody kind of, flutters to the wind, like the end of a movie. Like the coming of age movie, like Sandlot or something like that. Or this guy went off and did this after his Rocky career, kind of thing. So,
Anyway, to be a professional bodybuilder in space. He's amazing.
exactly. So
Yeah,
it's that thing. But like I know there's the alumni picnics and stuff like that, and
yeah,
every time I do run into somebody that I do rock with, it's that thing. It's a hug, and it's like, hey, haven't seen you in forever. You're happy to see that person, right?
that's very
Even
true.
if you're not like staying in constant communication with them, it's
Yeah,
just like yeah, it's a fraternity, it's a brotherhood,
yeah,
sisterhood.
I agree.
It's a thing. You meet anybody anywhere. Oh, I used to do Rocky too. Yeah, fuck yeah. They know the ups and downs of it. They know you can meet anybody anywhere, and as soon as you do Rocky, cool, or did Rocky, it's like you instantly have a friendship there.
You have that good immediate bond. That's yeah, that was something that my girlfriend that she did because she did over a cast over in Delaware and Philadelphia for a
Wow.
few years, and she moved up because she moved up there, and she was like, that was the first thing I did was like, I'm bored, I have nothing to do on the weekends, I'm gonna go find a Rocky cast, and
Yeah.
immediately it's
Yeah.
just like it solved the
Yeah.
problem.
I think, yeah, and I think that the thing is like I think when I started like coming and hanging around Rocky a little bit again, it's just because like I don't have anything fucking better to do right now,
Yeah.
and especially when it was at um, Tampa Picture Show,
Hmm.
like, it was so close to me at the time. It was like I'll just fucking haul over there. Like if it was still at St. Pete,
Hmm.
probably wouldn't come around as much. But like okay, it's right down the street. I'll
That's
go
right.
hop
Yeah.
for an hour or two and then go over to the castle or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what I did. It's like okay. so come say hi to people I know. Come say hi to Ed, and of course, at the time met Ronnie, and you
Mm,
know, and I was friends with Cash at the time, and everything
yeah.
like that. So, and Pipsy and everybody. So,
Mm. True, true, true.
I, same thing. I run into Pipsy all the time at Ren fairs. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Are you doing Ren Fair consistently?
I don't anymore. The band's kind of semi-retired. The Body
Okay.
Boys kind of semi-retired right now. But you know, my I do love going to them. My girlfriend does them,
Mhm.
and so we usually hit up every Florida fair
Do you?
at least once throughout the year. We
Nice.
like everything down to the one all the way down in over in Brevard County, the one all the way down in Fort Myer or Fort Lauderdale,
Uh-huh.
uh, Sarasota, Bay Area. Well, we don't do Bay Area because I
Actually,
did
so
Bay
that's
Area
a
not
that's a
too
great
long ago.
question
I
because
don't
like
with it.
with Bay Area, because I missed it I loved it when I was next to Mosey. That was like a
Yeah,
very fun
that
time
was
for me.
a lot of people loved it over there, and that was their fair. Like the people like me that like where Largo was
Hmm.
my Bay Area. I was like, oh, that was so good. It was the best when it was there. But I think
Yeah.
like whenever you first get into fair,
Hmm.
wherever that's at,
That's where
that's
it's the best. Yeah.
that's where it's the best. And then anywhere it moves after that is not good enough.
Well, it moved out to Dade City, so it's like it's a haul like just to go out there now. And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, same. I still haven't been out there, mainly because they screwed us
Really?
when they went out there. Yeah, they were like offering us half the price.
True.
And
Yeah,
now they don't even have really any musical acts anymore. Period. They're not really investing in the show anymore.
that's unfortunate. I kind of got that sense from when I went over there, because it seemed like the cast was a lot smaller, but the area was so much bigger, and that was kind of odd to me. I was like, with all this
Feels a lot more empty,
space,
doesn't it?
yeah, you would think that there'd be like actors everywhere doing like bits and things like that, and just like very, very small group.
Yeah, it's just like they're just riding the name out, into the sunset because the original owner is very aged at this point, and the kids don't give a shit. His kids don't give a shit about it, but they want to get the money from it, right?
Uh,
And that's what the deal is over there. But having gone to some of these other fairs that they're nice. Sarasota is really nice.
yes.
Flarf down in Fort Lauderdale is really good.
Mhm.
But we eventually, me and my girlfriend, when we first started dating, we road tripped up to the Maryland Festival,
Really?
which holy shit, is that a whole nother level?
Is it?
Like, I mean, a whole it was 2 days to walk everything.
What?
Uh, and the cast is huge. There's like 10 stages. It's insane the size of this place. And it's all permanent structures, permanent buildings. Like there's nobody in a tent
That's
selling anything. They have their own building.
what the fuck?
It's insane. Like it's like you're walking through Sherwood Forest. It's ridiculous.
Holy shit. See, so that's in Maryland. So I gotta go to that one. I have to check
Yeah,
that
it's
one out.
right across the Virginia border in DC.
I
Uh,
lived up there for like 4 years and I had no idea that was there.
it's in the southern part of Maryland.
What?
Because yeah, we passed DC and like 30 minutes later we were there. And it was so. But yeah, it's unfortunate what Bay Area has become. But yeah, no, it's Mosey got good.
What
It
was
it
it?
sucked the first couple years, and then got it, and then it became like everybody's fair, and then that's when I was like performing there the most,
Mhm.
with the Body Boys, and
Yes.
I know Pepsi was there for a long time. Well, Pepsi's been there for I've known Pepsi since she was probably 14 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. When and that's how she got her name Pepsi because she was a tiny little thing back then, and even more of a loudmouth than she is now. So yeah, and I think she joined Rocky when she was like 16. She was one of our youngest cast members.
I believe so. I don't. I'm not too familiar on like the history of the IP days. I will say that because I wasn't. I
Right.
rarely around for that. So
Right. Yeah. So yeah, she joined IP, and then of course was her and Cash were directors of CLP for a long,
CLP.
long time. But that's where they both got. Cash used to be security at
Yes.
IP.
You told me that.
Um, yeah, him and Craig, and yeah, it was just a lot of those people that came over on that shift that happened mainly because of what happened to Ed Schneider
Mhm.
was the
Yeah.
shift that created that split between IP and CLP and that bad
Yeah. I
blood.
remember. Mhm. I got educated by Cash once upon a time. He kind of explained like a lot about like how that divide kind of like
Yeah.
start how that happened and then how it birthed the CLP scene and everything like that. And I find that fascinating, honestly. A little sad too, because and it sounded like you guys were really tight once upon a time, and just kind of time was time. This thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, but that's kind of the thing I was saying earlier, right? Is like you stay
Mhm.
long enough, you can become a villain.
Yes, that's
Like,
very
and
true.
I don't need to name names, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Uh, but multiple individuals I could talk about that was
yeah,
the case.
yeah. That's a sad part about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and even people that even weren't legit villains got villainized because of rumors and people that were power hungry wanting to take power, or oh, I can lead better, or I want to do it this way, and they're not letting me, so I'm gonna do what I can to
Yeah.
sabotage them to make myself in that position that I want.
Mhm.
But Rocky can be clicky, it can be high schooly.
Yeah, nothing is outside of the realm of drama. That is a powerful female
No,
mistress.
yeah. See it at rent fairs. I see it in bands. I see it everywhere I go.
Mhm.
It's just everybody. Everybody can be any group you're part of. If there's more than two people, it gets clicky or drama-y.
I can spawn real quick for like the smallest little reasons. Are you still making music, by the way?
Yeah, yeah. I do it for into a lot of individuals and for like
Hmm.
Instagram people and stuff like that.
Nice.
Like short film stuff and
What?
like that. Yeah. So like doing the band thing. Obviously, I'm getting a little older, and
Hmm.
it's just
No,
I don't
you're
want
not. What are you talking
to.
about? You're
Oh,
crazy.
but yeah, I don't want to be the old guy standing on stage, still trying to be a rock and roll star. That's I passed that option up, probably 10 years ago, but
Mhm.
um, maybe more. But no, I still do music, obviously, sitting here with a mic stand and what you
Yeah.
can't see is an entire recording desk in front of me.
Ah, nice. That's beautiful. So you're
Uh,
doing.
Yeah. So I'm doing, music for, like I said, for content creators and stuff like that.
It's awesome. Holy
Yeah.
hell. Dope. Okay. So more
Mhm.
studio work.
Yeah, just mostly studio work. So, I'm doing stuff from everything for like, manufacturer, people making like Etsy stuff for
Hmm.
their product videos to OnlyFans, you know.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So, and I'm also doing a lot of photography too. So,
Really?
yeah, so mostly
Amazing.
specializing in, erotic boudoir stuff.
Really?
Yeah, well, dude, I grew up in, Rocky.
Yeah, I
You
it's a
know, and just
no,
start
like
you
my surprise is more so like because like I've always like enjoyed our brief conversations together, but I never really knew too much about you. I'm just like, there's Mike. He's got a cowboy hat. He's got the aura. He's just doing his thing.
know,
So like,
yeah.
it's always just been like you've always been now like I'm like a little mystery to me. I'm like, he seems like a dope dude. He seems like an amazing guy. Don't know what the fuck he does, but whatever he does it well, and that's pretty much how it's. So.
That's cool. That was the impression I was giving off. That's pretty. Um, yeah, I got something else a compliment like that one other time. Were you there when Heather Gary was performing?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So her and I had a little thing way back in the day. I think it was before CLP was created. It
Mm-hmm.
was still IP days, I think. But yeah, but and she's like, I heard you're Mike Moses. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're kind of a big deal. Like, oh, okay. You want to hang out later? Use that to my advantage. But yeah, so that was always my ego builder. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm Mike Moses. I'm kind of a big deal, even though I'm not. I'm actually deep inside. I'm a very very humble person. But it's I'll gladly accept the compliments, and
No,
I think that like that's how I came across, and that's how I'm viewed as.
never got like douchebag energy. Always like that's a cool guy energy.
I always, oh yeah, no, I fully very made sure I was never because I fucking hate douchebag energy. Douchebag, I'll get asshole energy every once in a while, but never
Yeah,
douchebag.
no, that's good. That's good. I think
I need
that's
to be an
the
asshole. That's what I want to be.
that's that's on the scale. That's a tier list. You always want to hit that, like one, not the other. I respect
A
that.
very long fuse, but once that fuse is out, couple ex cast members figured that one out the hard way.
Oh, those poor devils. That's upsetting too. Like, it seems odd to push somebody to that limit where they have to lose their temper.
Well, I mean, it's just like in one of them, and I'm of course not going to mention names, but like it's that thing. It's like no matter how many times I told this one dude, like you're missing your cue, you're missing being on stage because you're trying to hit on a girl half your age in the audience, or like, dude, she's not into you. You're making her very uncomfortable. Stop,
Hmm.
and when you have to tell them so many times, eventually you gotta getrough with it,
Yeah.
and ended up kicking him off cast as a result too, because it's just like, dude, you're making the other women cast members here uncomfortable. Stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you not realize that?
Mm.
Oh, read the room on where you're at. Like, just because I can make this joke with someone doesn't mean you can automatically make that joke with someone because you don't know
Yeah.
them. Like,
Yeah. You
you
haven't built that rapport enough to joke around with somebody like that. I have a thing like that with people too, where it's like if I don't know you very well, like I'm like I don't like you can't really joke with me the same way like somebody who's known me for at least like a year or two can.
know.
Eh,
Yeah. Well, even just like, some girl, especially if you're kind of like, joke flirting with somebody or something like that, like if they're not kind of into you just enough to like joke flirt,
mm-hmm.
you're going to come off as creepy,
True. Very
and
true.
it's gonna become uncomfortable if you're like sitting there throwing innuendos out and they're like not receptive to it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta read the room.
Very true. Very true. Um, I think it was a solid hour. I think we just killed.
Yeah. Yeah. I looked down. I'm like,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
no,
No, I love it.
so
I
good.
will probably end it right here.
Mhm.
Unless, but before we like go, if there anything that you would like to plug for yourself, I don't. Full transparency. Eventually, once I have like all the interviews collaborated, this is going to turn into some like big documentary podcast type of deal. It's going to turn into something. So if there's anything that you would like to plug,
Um, uh, YouTube Jaded Sound Studios. And my photography is at Nick Hensley Photography on Instagram. Um, come check me out, see what's going on, and I think yeah, and I think that's pretty much all I can plug right now.
oh, that's perfect. No, I love it. Thank you so much, and thank you again for doing this, Mike. It's been
No problem.
a pleasure. It's so good to catch up with you too,
Yeah,
honestly.
same man. It's
Yeah,
been we'll have to at some point catch up on non-Rocky things.
I would love that.
Yeah, you disappeared. I'm like, what? I mean, I kind of followed you on Facebook a little bit, but I'd like to like, all right, well, what's your story? What happened to you?
there's
Keep it
out
in,
there.
what you do. Yeah,
Ooh,
so
where?
like
Yeah, there's a
I'll
lot.
come out
Yeah.
see you guys and grab a beer or something afterwards.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah. Well, I think I sent you my contact information. If not, we still got for each other's face messenger. Just hit me up whenever you're free. I will definitely make time to come and hang out with you for a little bit.
All right, fantastic. I
All
look
right.
forward to that.
Perfect. All right. You take it easy, Mike.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.